at this point. I don't know if it's more important as a husband, a father, a man, or pastor, covenant partner. It's just something that I want to see people do. And I like being healthy. I like feeling healthy, and I like to know that people are healthy.
Yeah, you see the road signs.
Yeah.
You're reading the road signs.
Well, friends, again, there it is again, Ken. We're back, and I am so honored to have my friend Ken Lynch from Gold's Gym with us today. It is pertinent information that we're sharing. We're talking about literacy. Ken, you know, the word literacy, it's a big deal with me. We do several things here. We're dealing with literacy from a kingdom perspective, and I'm teaching the men what male or manhood literacy is relative to kingdom man as opposed to cosmos man. We're also dealing with it from literacy from the perspective of our business plan, you know, literacy in business, literacy in finances. But today, you and I are talking about literacy regarding health and exercise, the need for these things. What does this buzzword to you, literacy, mean? Because when I think of in terms of literacy, something in me begs the need to have the right language in order to help my children and grandchildren, my friends, my family, everybody understand that this is not something that is just a casual issue. This is something that we need to really have tremendous regard for.
Yeah, I mean, literacy for me is just the gain of knowledge, but then even deeper there, the main thing is really getting a deep understanding and have good wisdom and understanding of things. Because the deeper you have of knowledge on how you're, when you look at something, it's interesting because when you look at something under a microscope, you have a different perspective than you do with just living in your daily life. So when you're looking at wanting to look at things deeper, you have to look it through a microscope to see what's really going on. You know, so sometimes it's nice to have these times where we're getting into the microscope a little bit today.
Yeah.
But in the terms of cells and what's going on, we talked about, you know, the PowerPoint of the cell, the mitochondria. But then you have all the other things that are making the makeup of that cell. And that's what's so amazing, because you just realize that we came from a creator. This is not something that just happened. We didn't come out of nothing, you know, impossible. Nothing did not create everything. He spoke it into existence.
Yes.
And just that power of his word is bringing effect and change in us. And the more we understand and have knowledge of that wisdom and understanding and have a better literacy of things, then we're going to grow and take action and apply it. And it can be sometimes a nice reassurance that, hey, if I have the right information,
there you go,
I can be able to apply this into my life, and I can be going in the right direction.
And so that's why, you know, you mentioned creator. We came from him. Things that are spoken things. If they're spoken, they're locatable. They're distinguishable. And he says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, which in essence means I've given them everything necessary for life, that they might have a dynamic, spiritual, and godly life. But if they don't know it, then they won't know the correct application because they don't have the right information. So literacy is knowing the appropriate information for the appropriate application, so we get the appropriate manifestation from the right operation.
There you go.
Again, we're back. Ken, you say so many things. You know, the good thing about having you in this discussion is that I love having people that challenges me the way I challenge people that I love about spiritual things. And I don't mind being in the presence of someone who's astute in what they, in their profession, and understands how to leverage it into the lives of the people who need it. Because that's the position I take. I would not be a dumb, ignorant pastor. I could not do that because blind people lead, but they only lead where they are able to go. And they can only take them where they can see. If they're blind, it's not very far. And so today I'm really, really, really honored that you're back with me. Always a privilege to have you here, man. I want to go back into something that you said before we finished the last session. You started talking about some things about the
Mitochondria?
Yeah, the mitochondria. Let's go.
Well, again, it is the power plant of the cell.
Okay.
And the cell needs power.
The power plant of the cell.
Of the cell.
Okay.
So the cell needs power to generate that city.
Okay.
That's in there. And you've got all these other functions in that cell, and I'm not going to get too terminology on it. But when cells, what they end up doing is they end up duplicating, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and then they go into multiple cells.
Okay.
So cells die, and then they have to be duplicated. And then, so that's why I was always saying to you, you're not the same person that you are today for tomorrow, because your body's constantly reproducing cells, so skin cells, all different types of things.
So how important is it, Ken, that we challenge ourselves to do something, some type of program that regards our, exercising, etc.?
So that's great that you say that, because when a person comes into our gym, really we look at, there's almost like only 5 people that kind of come into our doors, and we recognize those 5 people as their goals or the outcomes that they want to achieve. So we'll have a person, hey, I want to lose weight. So we have a weight loss program.
Okay.
So here we have a person that still needs to be able to, through the personal training program, most people don't want to start a program because they don't want to fail.
Okay.
All their life, generally, they've been failing at weight loss, so they don't want to come into the gym and fail again.
Now, see, that's a message by itself, and I don't want to interrupt you there, but I want to keep that. I want to caption that. Most people don't want to start a program because they don't want to fail.
Yeah.
I run into that. That's a very good, I thank you for that caption, because it helps me, it gives me a relative perspective into the mindscape, the mental scape of some people that I'm talking to sometimes. I disregard the fact that perhaps they don't want to fail. That's why they don't want to start a program.
Well, they don't think that they're enough. Let's just say, well, when it comes to a spiritual sense, people, when it comes to this conscious awareness, people are trying to, God is not calling you to be sinless.
Okay.
He just wants you to sin less, right?
I say that all the time.
Right?
Now, and we need to repeat that. He said, God is not calling you to be sinless. He just wants you to sin less. That's why he's already accounted for sin. Mercy is made available every morning.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
He came to become sin.
He became sin for us.
So that we could be, we can have his righteousness, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell people too, is like, hey, there's a lot of people that are coming into the club that feel like they're not enough, or they feel ashamed that they've gained this weight. And there are a lot of people who are coming in the door that they've lost over 100 pounds, and now they're trying to lose more weight because they are at a standstill. The walking around the neighborhood is not the same. And so they need to come into different environments of stimuli or different things we offer in the club, which would be the weights or the environment or the community to kind of help them see through these challenges. And the same thing is how you're equipping your saints or your church, is they're coming into this community and you're equipping them with the right tools and the right mindset to go out in this world, because you're calling them to take action in a world that is broken. And but the same thing when you're coming into the gym, you're coming in there with a focus and a goal to be the best version of yourself, so that you can go out in the world and have that confidence and put yourself in scenarios that you would probably never think you were ever going to. A person who might be overweight might not want to go to certain places because they're going to be tired, or they're not going to want to, they don't have the energy. So they just say, well, I'm just going to stay home today. I just don't feel good, or make whatever excuses. But if you come into the gym and when you don't feel like it, and then you actually come in the gym and you leave, that's a victory.
That's a victory.
That's a victory.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
At my age, one of the things that I oftentimes encounter, sometimes more often than I'd like to even acknowledge, at my age, when I can just get there now. And my grandchildren, since they are my partners, I've got 3 of them that work out with me, you see each day. We use that partnership as leverage. I was getting ready to ask you about the importance of stimuli or stimulus, as it stimulating things that helps us to appreciate our goals and objectives. You know, sometimes we fail, I think, to do something that will give us that dimension of stimulus, so that we are motivated to beyond ourselves when we can't find the motivation within ourselves.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And I think what's great for a lot of people too, that when they find themselves, we want to really encourage them, is sometimes they feel like when you're in these valleys and you're in these type of places and you're able to get and God uses those valleys, and it really gets you out of that dark spot, and then you're getting out of that valley. And then it builds these muscles, or it builds this awareness of yourself that you can accomplish all these things. And it really builds the character and the discipline and the things that will equip you. And he's using some of our bad decisions that we've made in the past, when we can calculate to be, gaining weight, all different things. So when you come into the gym, you kind of think of it almost like a sanctification process.
Okay.
As you come into the church and they hear you, it's different when you actually are coming to church and you're with the body physically versus you're watching on a podcast, or you're watching it at home or on a tablet. Sometimes that's the only option because you hurt or injured. But there's a difference between, you working out at home, watching a video, versus you actually in the gym, being a part of a community of people. You're getting that energy and that experience that is a total different experience than when you're at home, when you're at the gym. And we have more options here. You have all these machines to work your biceps in a different way versus you just being at home with a set of dumbbells. Mm-hmm. You can get different perspectives, or you can get different stimuli using all the diverse amount of equipment that we offer, which keeps you excited, and then your body responds to it, and you can say, "Well, I'm a little sore today."
Yeah, I love that. Chasing the soreness is a good thing. Now, I don't chase it as much as I used to anymore. I'm giving myself excuses now to not press as hard because of my age, but I do try to make sure that I get in and I'm fit. I do a lot of high rep stuff, things that helps me to kind of keep my metabolism active, keep myself feeling good about me. And some days it's just a matter of feeling good about me. That's this psychological thing that happens where just because I got in and did something, it just feels so much better than nothing at all.
Well, that's what's so great, which I try to maybe encourage your community and the people you are reaching out today, is to, if you live locally in this area, to come to Gold's and let me do that report like I did to you. Because what we found today on that report, that you do have a great engine that you want to maintain. Because all your life you have been working out. You've taken the necessary steps to develop the muscle that you have. So you're coming into the gym to maintain what you work so hard to have. If a person's never worked out in the daily life, then they're going to have to maybe take more time to build that muscle, so that to gain that muscle, so that you've worked so hard to have. So ultimately for us is that your goal is to lose weight, but we also want to have you gain muscle mass, which
Gain
is
muscle
weight,
mass,
right?
right, which
So
is
you-
weight.
Which
That's-
is weight. So here you are, but then we have to help you. So if you don't gain that muscle mass, then we're not going to be able to help you lose the weight that you want to lose. You can just be walking on your treadmill and losing muscle as you're losing fat, and you're destroying your metabolism.
Now, you need to stay right there for a moment because this is a big discussion. A lot of us assume that size automatically means fat. Okay? You're a big man yourself. You
We're
look-
broad shoulders, both of you.
With
Me
broad
and you.
shoulders. Yeah.
We're-
No,
we-
you got
we-
broad shoulders. I don't have broad shoulders. When I first met you, you came across as someone who perhaps had played professional football.
Yeah.
We think in terms of football, you were a
Volleyball.
player.
Volleyball
And I was like, volleyball?
Yeah.
I never would, I'm thinking this guy he was a tight end or, or a defensive end, or he was something, in the football field. But I remember first seeing you there at the gym and for months, always kind of wondered. And then finally we met, got a chance to really converse, and I found out you were, and you would not have known this, but when I found out that you played volleyball, I was like, boy, I missed that altogether. I thought you were going to tell me some of these stories about, your football career and da-da-da-da. But the honorable thing is that I see how you've maintained, this has been a year, I think we've known for each other for years now.
Yeah.
And you've maintained this leverage of continuity with yourself. You seem like you're not aging.
Mm-hmm.
It just, maybe the hair is getting a little bit discolored. Like mine just decided to vacate the premises altogether.
I'm actually thinking about see if I look better, bald. I am getting a little thin haired up on top.
You're getting a little thin.
Yeah.
How old are you, Ken?
I'm 55.
But you're 55,
Yeah,
okay.
born
And
1970.
I'm 65. I got you about 10 years.
Yeah.
So, but still, that doesn't say anything about this. It's been going quite a while. So, but again, just seeing you seem so fit. Now, talk about that. Now, you do all this for us.
But
how does it relate to Ken?
But I think it's the same thing. Is like I'm trying to maintain my knees,
Okay.
my hips,
Okay.
my body. So if you think about yourself as, for me, I think of myself as like maybe a V8 engine.
Okay.
Now my goal is to keep this V8 engine. As we get older, people actually that don't do any kind of weight bearing exercise, they become a V6 engine. They were a V8 engine, and now
Okay.
they're a V6 engine, a V4 engine, and a V2 engine.
Wow.
So as they get older, they're losing all this muscle mass, and they're losing their balance. They're losing the ability to walk. So you'll see people that have never exercised in a day of their life versus you that have exercised. You still have those butt muscles. Mm-hmm. You still have your posture muscles. Mm-hmm. You don't have the hunchback. You're not on that walker, or you're not walking with a cane. Now, there could have been accidents. There could have been challenges that are thrown on our way that are unexpected. But generally, the main thing for us to be able to paint a picture, I know my grandmother was 93 years old, and she was in an elevator in Leisure World in Laguna or something like that, and an old man fell on top of her in the elevator.
Wow.
And then she broke her hip, and then since she couldn't recover from that, that's very classic. Is most people who fall, they break their hip and then they die of pneumonia because they can't move.
Really?
Yeah, so that's one of the leading causes of sometimes death is someone who it doesn't keep themselves mobile or doesn't have their balance. They fall or trip on the sidewalk or a step, and they break their hip or their femur, and then they end up dying of pneumonia just because of an injury, because they didn't take the time to build the muscles and the balance and the coordination and the flexibility. So we're losing muscle mass.
Okay.
We're losing flexibility,
Right.
and we're losing our balance.
But we're becoming more susceptible to what causes the pneumonia.
The ability not to move from recovering from
That's
that.
what I needed to hear. The ability. So movement. Now that's where. That's
what I'm trying to say is that, hey, we need to get you to always maintain that engine.
Okay.
You're a V8 engine.
Okay.
So as you become, it doesn't matter how old you get.
Okay.
Your muscle cell is a muscle cell.
Okay.
And as long as you're stimulating that muscle cell will always stay the same cell.
Okay, so at my last doctor's appointment, my doctor that was examining me said, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but there's absolutely no curvature in your spine at all. It's kind of unique at your age. You're still just seemingly, your body seems to be rare. She used the term.
Well, you're activating your core when you're doing your stomach muscles, and you're activating that core. You have a good frame on your chest and your rear delts, or the back muscles, or posterior, because you're working those back muscles.
Okay.
So you're not falling into bad posture.
Okay.
When we're on our tablets, or our neck is always forward tilt, we're always on our tablets, or bad thing, you're really trying to keep your neck back in good posture, because you're engaging those muscles. When those people are the people that are going through life and they're just letting gravity take them,
Okay.
and they're not doing anything against that, going the opposite direction, then that's a career person who's working their whole life sitting on on their butt doing computers, attorneys or whatever. People are doing their work, but we've become sedentary because of the technology that we have. We're on our cell phones, our tablets, we're on our computers. We're all of a sudden find ourselves just watching something for 2 hours on our phone, scrolling or whatever. And we're not going out there in the life engaging and being more active. We're really become products of technology, which is
So let me throw, before we start the program starts to come into an end, let me throw a few words at you and just see how you respond to them. Avoiding the challenge of swift decline in health. Which route would you?
Well, again, the first thing is why you would go to a gym is that we know that your muscles are is an organ, literally. And the one thing that is declining as we get older is muscle. We're not eating enough protein through the day, which is just basically, so when we're talking about earlier today, small meals, you can look at how much protein that a person's getting. So how many eggs do I start off in the day? Usually have about 5 eggs a day in the morning, because an egg is only 6 to 7 or maybe 8 grams of protein per egg. So I'm trying to get 30.
Okay, eggs are going up.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just kidding.
Or you got to find something else. But the key thing is a protein powder, or you're gonna look at yogurt or something, bacon.
So you mentioned protein powder.
Yeah, it's a supplement powder.
It's a supplement powder.
So
now that's good.
That's good.
Okay.
Or we have.
Are there any protein powders that we need to avoid?
Well, again, I would just do a simple way. I think it's going to become down to taste.
Okay.
And protein isolate is a little bit better on the stomach versus just normal whey. So there are certain proteins that people might be more lactose intolerant, or they might they might be more plant-based, more soy-based.
Okay.
It's just trying.
When I first started protein, I needed soy-based because I was lactose.
Yeah.
And
so we just got to find something that works for you. But real food is the most important thing.
Real food.
So supplements like a protein powder is when you can't get something. It's like a meal replacement shake or some type of, assurance. So you have that product out there, Assure. That's in a box, a can, and a wrapper, right? But it's just basically trying to get that protein. And then another big word is we have amino acids. So, okay.
Good.
So these aminos, there's essential and non-essential amino acids. So we have 9 essential amino acids that your body doesn't produce for you. So
that your body does not produce.
So you have
Why
to bring
are they
it in.
essential if your body doesn't produce them?
Well, they're essential, so you have to bring them into the body.
So these are necessary for you to assume responsibility for getting, for
yeah.
acquiring.
Yeah,
What are
acquiring.
they then? List some amino acids.
Well, again, the terminology of a lot of these amino acids is that they're through different types of, you can get them through all different means, but usually just animal-based.
Animal-based product?
Yeah.
Such as?
Chicken, fish.
Chicken, fish, okay.
Yeah.
So amino acids are essentials.
Yeah, so we have a powder form of aminos that
right.
actually man has made and manipulated. But the key thing is that you can sip on, it's like almost like a Gatorade. So if you don't want to do those protein shakes, you can sip on amino acids that you can be able to keep your body have those essential amino acids.
Okay.
So you have the ability your cells to be able to duplicate and produce, because your body needs protein to build muscle and to build they're the building blocks to the cell.
Okay.
Yeah. So the key thing is that when we were starting earlier about metabolism, that hey, let's think about that fire. To make it really simple for people here, you're building this fire. So if you want to start a fire, first thing we talked about, a carbohydrate was 4 calories per gram. Right. So let's think of carbohydrates as paper to a fire.
Okay.
So when you want to start a fire, you need paper.
Wow.
Okay. And then when you have a protein, we'll think about protein as 4 calories per gram. It's the same amount of calories per gram as a protein. We'll call that a twig.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you're going to go out there and get twigs.
All right.
Okay, and then you have fat. Fat is 9 calories per gram. Okay, so that we'll call that a log.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then you have alcohol is 7 calories per gram.
Okay.
Okay, we'll call that alcohol is lighting fluid.
Wow.
Okay.
That is interesting.
So when you're building this fire, to start it, you need the right amount of paper, twigs, and logs. And if those people who don't want to drink, that's good. I mean, you can still start that fire. But ultimately, you're trying to keep that fire going. So you need a certain amount of paper, but you don't want to just all of a sudden have this huge amount of a log, because it's like this big log, you can't really start that fire. So that's a lot of fat, So you just can't all of a sudden have this big thing of fat. So you just want to have a small amount of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So your palm size of your hand is about the size of your protein.
All right.
And the whole hand is the size of your carbohydrate source. So it could be some sweet potato and a little bit of rice. Or it could be broccoli and some little rice or something of pasta. And the thumb, for guys, it's 2 thumbs for a guy, 1 thumb. So it could be avocado. It could be some type of fat.
I don't like avocado. What's
it? Could be any kind of. It could be any fat. Olive oil.
Olive oil.
A fat in chicken. Fat in your meat source. You never have to worry about fat. Fat's always going to get there.
Yeah, it's going to be in everything.
But when you close your hand, that's the size of your stomach.
Okay.
So your portion size is, I'm trying to get 5 or 6 fists of meals
a day.
Because when I'm looking at a fist, when I chew everything up like cud, it's all going to be chewed up. And it's going to fit in your stomach. But if you're trying to have too much food in one sitting, it's going to be too much food for your body to work to try to digest. So that's why we break those meals into smaller meals, and then we try to have those fruit and vegetables. Because then your insulin doesn't get spiked up. So if you really are a diabetic or you're concerned about your sugar levels, you'll know what certain foods that you eat actually spikes up your insulin levels.
I love it.
So we really want to make sure that you're eating those more non-processed foods, things that are God-made, that you can eat. So you can put some tangerines in your salad, peel it, put some tangerines. But, he doesn't want you, you can have maybe for some people a glass of wine. He doesn't want you to have a whole bottle of wine. Whatever, it is, it's moderation. In moderation. Of everything.
So let's say meals in moderation.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. But no one has the time to prepare. So what happens is when person wakes up in the morning, they don't have a lot of time because they're on the go. So they grab something quick.
Right. And
so usually that might quick, or they go to the gas station, or they go somewhere to Chick-fil-A, or they go somewhere. Yeah, it's food, but sometimes that meal is sometimes smaller, or it has more calories. Then during lunch, we usually have more time because we have lunch, so you have a little bit bigger meal. And then what happens when you finally get home from a long day, you have a bigger meal. So when you think about just drawing a picture, you have a small meal, you have a little bit medium meal, and then you have this gigantic meal on the end. It almost looks like a picture of a snowman. So you begin to look like a snowman.
Wow.
Then you have these smaller meals more frequently, these little small meals all through the day, same meals, 5 or 6 meals. Then you can see it's like almost like a thin caterpillar. And that caterpillar is going to become a butterfly. And it's going to transform you into the person that you want to become.
Paint.
If you make the right choices.
If you make the right choices.
And make the right decisions.
Well, I'll tell you what, I cannot find or could not find a better way to conclude with, oh boy, this
the butterfly effect.
I tell you, from the caterpillar to the butterfly. And you know what? This is a program that I want to feature in a way that I will suggest to you that you go back, you take notes, you listen, you take notes, you listen, you take notes, you listen, you pray about it, you research it, you use it as an implant into the logic of your existence. Because I believe that health matters, and health with literacy is more important than just health with assumption. We always say that assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. Today we've gotten a type of literacy that allows us to no longer be illiterate, ignorant, and we found this insightful measure that allows us to, climb the walls of this rich dummy existence that we've had for so long. Thank you so much, Ken. You helped me to define so many things that are necessary regarding my personal health, and I'm grateful that you got me to go in and do the examination. I want to come back to that because there has been a call, and all of you that are members here, not just the men, even though we're talking men to men, women, wives, children, get your hips in over at Gold's Gym in Evans, Georgia, where Ken is, and you can have this test done free of charge,
Free
right?
of charge.
Free of charge.
Just ask
we will
for me.
see to it. Just ask for Ken. Enter in, ask for Ken. Enter in, ask for Ken. And when you enter in, Ken's going to accommodate you. He's got a tremendous staff. They will love making sure that you are healthy, just like they do Pastor Bush. Amen.
Amen.
And so anything you would like to say to us, Ken, in closing, because I tell you, it's been a tremendous honor to have you today. So much information that we've received.
Well, I think that just to know that there's help and that there's people that really are wanting to help you change.
Genuinely care.
Yeah, really want to generally change and save your life in a way. Just like we're spreading the gospel out there, the good news, we're spreading the gospel of fitness to give you the good news, knowing that, hey, if you come in and give us a chance or just give us an ability to equip you and captivate you and love on you and let you know that you can accomplish anything you put your mind to.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. Well, you've heard it, and I'm so honored again. Thank you all for listening. We look forward to hearing your comments and your questions. Anything that you'd like to share. If you have some questions for Ken, give me some numbers.
Yeah, you can call me.
All right.
Or my staff. Okay. 706-391-4111. So 706-391-4111.
Okay.
Or you can email me at klynch@gmail.com.
Say that again.
Lynch, Lynch, getgolds@gmail.com.
That's G-E-T?
Yeah, G-E-T.
Okay.
Golds. Or you can visit getgolds.com and join today.
There you go. And remember, we have the special going on right now.
Yeah, it's just $1 down. Normally, we do have an enrollment of $99. So it's just $1. And then you just choose your program. We have single programs or we have family programs.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And when you go, tell them Bishop Bush sent you.
Yes.
From Crown Kingdom Cultural Center, Church International. God bless you. Listen, go in peace, but keep growing in grace through knowledge, and we'll see you next time, man to man. Thank you so much, Ken. Praise God, my brother. Amen. Man, I'm so grateful. This was awesome. Wow. Now we can dance, right?
Yeah.
Wow. What a day. Man, this was timely. This was